Greetings, Yellow Nation. Greetings, Masandawana. Yeah, no, today I'm only greeting you guys because I know you are the only ones who will be watching this episode. They are not gonna watch this episode, you know. But like I late, when Egypt, eh? Yeah, I'm joined by one of our own now, Laxin. Once again, it's like
Joshua Hotmani, the incoming champ, yeah, Captain Champions League.
Yay, don't jinx it, man. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, no, it's coming.
Yeah, man. We here to preview our game week 22 as we travel away to Mpumalanga to face TX Galaxy. Struggling TX Galaxy. But before we get into the match preview, man, just want to wish TX Galaxy's goalkeeper Melusi Buthelezi and his brother speedy recovery, man. They were victims of crime, man, and they were both stabbed. And we hope that they fully recover and we see Melusi back in the field. I mean, he's just broken through into the first team. He's kept quite a few clean sheets, man. He's been doing really well. So hopefully this is just a minor setback and he's back before we know it, man. Yeah, speedy recovery, not just to him, but his brother as well. And then another thing, we're celebrating quite a lot of things, man. We're celebrating 7,000 subscribers, man. We just want to thank each and every single one of you, man. It's your support, man. It's absolutely amazing, man. You know, we live in a country where data is very expensive, and for you guys who can keep email zenu, spend your time, spend your electricity and everything, man, to like we really appreciate support and made long continue. I mean, we could ramble and ramble le Majida when they do the review for as long as we want to, but if you don't watch it, it's not worth it. So you guys make Masanda Wana fan vlog, man. Yeah, getting into this preview, we're playing against TS Galaxy, like I earlier said. They're currently 14th on the log. They've played 19 games. They've only won 4, drawing 5, and then losing 10. They've only kept 4 clean sheets, man. When we played them 15 games ago, they were 14th. They are still 14th today, man. And yeah, they're really struggling, man. They're scoring an average of 0.84 goals per game and conceding 1.37, which is very, very poor. What have you made of them, like this season?
This season, I think it's a combination of both. More especially because earlier on in the season they had Owen Dagama responsible for the team, and then now you have a different coach, which, if you were to compare their styles of play, they're actually completely different. One was actually more direct in how he actually wanted his team to play, and then the new coach is more of a patient coach. So if you were to look at them maybe 15 games ago when we played them, they were not a team that actually would come at you and keep possession or try to build up from the back. Instead, they would be a team that was more direct. I think the only issue about them is the fact that they haven't been creating enough, they haven't been scoring enough. And the mere fact that they've just lost Mpolisema to Royal AM is going to be a problem for them, because I feel like he could have been one of those guys who would score an odd goal there and there, even though you still feel like the goals creation is not the way it actually used to be.
Mm-hmm. True, man. It's I found that transfer really strange. I mean, I looked at their log possession and I looked at the fact that he's their main striker, and for you to stay up, you need goals. So they are conceding a lot, they're not scoring enough, and then they let go of their main striker. That was quite puzzling for me, you know.
No, absolutely, because first and foremost, you lose a striker who's not just a striker for the team, he's also a team captain. And then on top of that, you lose a Mokete Mokhaila who, even though he might not be a starter anymore, but he's one of those who would come off the bench and then actually do something for you. On top of that, you lose a Marlon Hugh who, maybe let's not say he was also not a starter anymore, but he forms a very big part of the team. So essentially, you've lost three very important players, and you are still somewhere down there in the log, and it's going to be difficult for them to actually come out of there. But the nice thing about them is that there's actually a lot more positives ever since the new coach came in compared to earlier on in the season when the Gama was there.
No, the new guy, man, he seems like a very good coach. There is a change, like you're saying, between Yenali and Tole, the ODG, man. They might be 14th, like him, but it's the second round of the season. They have 10 games to go now. They are fighting for their lives. It's not going to be an easy trip for Sundowns, man. I absolutely loathe playing the team that are fighting for their lives. You know, they have a lot to lose, so they are going to make it a battle. And another thing is that they'd want to be party poopers. I mean, they'd want to spoil the party for Rona. We are on a high. We are on a real high. We've just beaten the third best team in the world. So they're going to be that team, like the headline right now, it's Sundowns. Now they're going to want to change it and the headline, Ibeka won or no. They beat Al Ahly, but we beat them. So it won't be an easy game. I don't know how you feel about facing a team that's fighting relegation, right?
Look, for me, it's one of those games where I think as a fan, you would want your team to actually be different from a Sundowns perspective. I mean, you've just come back from Egypt and you're playing one of the biggest games you'll ever play in Africa. But then at the same time, you're playing against a team which is more motivated to play against you guys. And then it's awkward because as Sundowns, you can't actually tinker much with your team. But at the same time, you have to be cautious and say, yes, we are going to these guys who are actually down there on the log. But at the same time, you should be able to actually respect them. More so because not so long ago they were playing against the Kaizer Chiefs side. The Kaizer Chiefs side which they absolutely dominated. And I mean, as a Sundowns fan, you wouldn't actually want to go through the same thing again. I feel we are not rivals fans and so that's
yeah, man. What can we expect from both teams in this match, Renala?
Look, well, Sundowns is a team which is, I think, here, like you are able to tell what you can actually expect from Sundowns. But I think we can expect a couple of changes from the game that they played against Al Ahly. But I think in terms of our structure, it's still going to be the same, or maybe the last 45 minutes against Al Ahly should be an indication of how we're actually going to play from now on going forward. With TS Galaxy, I think the downside of playing against the TS Galaxy is that one, in the last 5 games they've played different formations with almost the very same players, but the formations have been different. I mean, there's a time where they played a 4-1-4-1, and I think that was against Thabiso. And there are times where they played a 3-5-2. I think that was against Solis. And then against Kaizer Chiefs, they played something like, it was a different setup compared to the 2 games that I'm actually referring to as we speak. But expect them to be conservative in their approach. Expect them to allow Sundowns to keep possession. Expect them not to press up top, to maybe, let's say, play a mid block of some sort, because they're no longer a low block type of a side. So um, so expect them to maybe stay until the center line. And that's only when they're actually going to, maybe try and see if they can't press us or something of that sort. But expect a team which is very, 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 very conservative.
I actually think it's going to be the other way around. I think when you play against Sundowns, it's one of those games as a coach you think, if we win, absolutely awesome, but if we lose, everyone expected it. So right now we don't have anything to lose. If we sit back and they beat us, I mean, since 90 minutes. So I expect a high energy start, and I expect Galaxy to take the game to us, to attack us, to be on the offensive, to see if they can get anything. Because you look at how we've started the year, we've not been playing really well, to be honest. So they might have looked at it and say, you know what, they've not been playing really well. They are a bit fragile. So let's try and take advantage of that. And so I think they will attack us in this game and try and get something, Wabo. And like you said earlier on, they are different under this coach. I've observed, especially when in the opposition half, they're really patient with the passing Zabona. They don't just play it into the box, but they play that extra into pass until the time is right for them to put the ball into the box or play that defense splitting pass. So I'd expect Sundowns to press them into making the mistake and babe fast, instead of letting them babe patient, and they try and get into Brooks. They always try and have him free. He roams around, he knocks it from the right, I move it to the left, and so forth. So they always try and have him as between Obasil and Tole. Yes, yeah, he's always the one who's free, who makes them tick. And I think a player like Mvala would be perfect for him. Mvala is going to stop running. They are terrible in the final third, this team. Like, they are absolutely awful, man. You look at the game, you look at their stats in terms of the goals that they've scored or failed to score. It makes perfect sense. Why the goals are delay. So I mean, they've conceded way more than they have scored this season. So it's relegation type of form. And now the other thing that one final point, I expect Sundowns to make wholesale changes. I'm saying this because we have enough depth to two. If we don't give the other guys a chance now, when are we going to give them a chance? I'd like to believe the game here, Al Ahly, has taken a lot physically and mentally out of the guys that played, and the traveling as well. Yes, there's things like periodization that Sundowns excels in there, but I think this is the one game you tell Majida, guys, okay, majority of you are going to sit this one out. You'll be back for the Maritzburg one.
Look, for Sundowns, I think in as much as they're going to make changes, I think two things are guaranteed, and that is, one, your center back pairing. The likelihood of it changing, it can change, but it won't change that much. So you might see maybe a going out for yes, Grant or coming on for Mandela, but you would expect one of them to actually stay. And of course, you would then expect a Kennedy Mooney to actually stay and be rewarded for that particular game. And then forward, of course, you're going to expect those couple of changes as well. And maybe it might actually play to TS Galaxy's favor, because in as much as I'm saying they're going to sit back, I think one thing which actually stood out the most when they were playing against Amazon is the manner in which they were trying to set up those pressing threats in the half of Amazon. And maybe it's not sustainable to a certain extent. Maybe you might do it for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then after that, you go back to your shell. So with us, our changes have to also be those type of changes which actually could actually speak to that. Yes, you want to see new faces, but then you don't want to see completely new faces. You want to see people who maybe, for example, a Maema is not far off in terms of fitness compared to the rest of the guys. But now, if you're going to bring on someone who's never played this season, then it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah. Let's touch on this touchy subject. Yeah, Peter Shalulile. Peter is off form. It happens. You can't expect a player to be on a purple patch for 9 months. It's impossible. He's human. I believe he's put himself under so much pressure because of how well he's been doing. So it's stress and he's going game after game. He's not scoring. It's in his mind now. So this is what I would do. I cannot the certificate the coaches are on, but this is what I would do. Okay. I'll take him off the firing line for the next 2 games. Bring him back game next week Wednesday. We'll create a lot more chances in that game. We're playing a very weak opposition. He's most likely to score a goal or 2 or even 3. Now, if he does that, he goes into game Al-Ahly high in confidence. Because you look at the 2 league games that are coming, they are games of consequence. Not to Reamataita is not, but hey, we're playing teams that are fighting for their lives. They will be their first objective is to shut down. So I'd say, you know what, protect him and just rest him for the next 2 games, and then start him Kamataita. What's your take on that?
But look, I think the downside of that is that Pavol is struggling with injury, and Gifty Mutupa is struggling with injury. In fact, sometimes I sit and think about Gift and I wonder if the boy is bewitched or not, because he's been injured. He's been injured ever since he joined us. So, you look at such things and then you ask yourself, if Pavol is not there, if Mutupa is not there, then who best?
There's Kermit, who was on the bench in Egypt. So my worry is that we play him again on Wednesday. We start him. He doesn't score again. It's the pressure. It keeps on. It's no longer building. I don't know. It's at what level right now. It's not already. I don't want to play him because he's bad. He's what. No, I just feel like if Hanya on the sideline and then he comes back fresher.
Look, it's more of a psychological thing. I don't think. Because I don't think we can sit and say no. Peter Shalule is tired. Peter Shalule is not tired. No one in the Sundowns team is tired. I mean, we are actually from something like a 2-month break. Maybe for us it was shorter. We can stay a month break, but we can't say he's tired. Yes, we might want to rest him, but are we completely removing him from the team, or are we saying yes, be part of the 20-man squad, sit on the bench, you can come on as a sub, So we have to look into such things. Because now you don't want him to be sitting out for more than a day, because one thing that actually would play in a player's mind is to say, hey, even though I'm not scoring, but I feel like if I was there, I would have actually created something. Because even if you were to check against Alafi, he's actually the one who provided the assist to Thabiso.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yes, he's bad. Yes, he's not scoring. But in what other aspects of the game is he involved in? You know, we have to look into certain things. But maybe to a certain degree, I would actually concur with you to say, I can bear cancer, you know, but not completely.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
Travel with the
yeah,
team, be on the bench, definitely, definitely. Yeah.
absolutely.
With that said, give me your lineup, Lucky.
My lineup for Sundowns with TS Galaxy.
Sundowns.
For Sundowns, of course, Kennedy Mwene in goal. Rest Mudau for Thapelo Morena on defense. And then let me see. Rest yeah, but you see, get another title when I come to the center backs. The rest one between Mandela and Biruk, and then bring on the Grand Kekan, you know, give him those couple of minutes as well. And then on the left, of course, you'd have to start with Ogrimudi by this time and just like Kate. Um, then I think the best four is actually sorted because in as much as you're making changes, it's not completely a new back four. These are people who played together before. And then in midfield, I wanna it's actually complicated. But in midfield, rest Rivaldo, more so because he had a very good game against Alaf, especially in the second half. So the legs might not be there. So rest him. Start with Jali, of course, but then I feel like next to Jali, bring in a Mutobi Mbala as well as a Hashim Domingo in front of him. Yes. So it's more or less the manner in which we played in the MTN 8. If you remember the opening round of the MTN 8. So you see, it's still it's a new team, but it's not completely a new team.
Yeah.
Yes. And at the same time, it addresses certain things. You want aggression in midfield, and Val actually brings that for you, and he can actually be one of those guys who deal with the Brooks who's nippy and quick. And in terms of physicality, he can actually compete with Umbujana for that, and allow Jali to compete with Obas if needs be. So that three is sorted out, and then up front, of course, I would then start with Kemet. More so because you also want to see him play. You also want to see him being involved in goals. You know, you don't want to keep a player like Kemet on the bench for a very long time because, yeah, he's one of those guys who can actually give you goals. And then on your left, I would like to see Neo Maema coming back into the team if he's available. And then on the right, I think it has to be between Kutumela and yeah, it has to be Kutumela and maybe keep Tembazano on the bench just in case something doesn't connect. But those three.
It's crazy how we have almost the same lineup, just that on the right, instead of Kutu, outplay Lesedi. I think Lesedi was on the bench and Kutu was not on the bench on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I'd play Lesedi. So I'd have the same lineup as you. Just before we end it, like your prediction?
My prediction is let's say 2-0 win for Sundowns. I get a last Bajile at the mark. So because right now we're coming with a different team, I would definitely give them a 2-0. but I also agree with you in terms of Lesedi Kapinga. Yeah, it makes sense. It's actually a perfect inclusion into the team.
Yeah, I will go for, I think, because we have made quite a lot of changes. It won't be as fluid. It hasn't been fluid, but yeah, but I'd like to believe these guys will try and raise their hands, and try and get into break into the lineup. So I'll go for a 1-0 win, and I think Neo Maema will score. And just like that, that's another episode of the Yellow Corner done. Thank you very much, Lucky, for joining me and replacing that other guy. And hopefully, man, we'll do this again soon. Thank you very much, man, and thanks to everyone for watching. You will see us again on Friday when we preview our game against Maritzburg. Sharp, Masandawana. Thanks, Lagze.